Hey everybody, it's Beej with Lambda School. Now that we've made one model, we're going to talk about subclassing that model and see how that works in Django. So in Django, when we do this because we have a model that models some data, but we have some additional data that specializes on that model somehow. So we will add additional functionality to an existing model by subclassing, and then we're going to create a new model in the process of doing that. The models are related to one another, but the details of how that happens are hidden away from us by Django, making it easier to query these additional models. So the first thing we're going to do that is we're going to pull up our models for a notes app here, and we see that we have a class note just like we've always had. And we're going to subclass this note in order to add additional functionality. We're going to make a note that has information about a user on it as well. So not only is there an anonymous note like this, but we'll have a note that the currently logged in user will have created. So with that in mind, of course, the naive approach for doing that is to take the note, and we'll make a note called personal note. And then we can add a user field to this note that does something or another. But of course, this is a lot of repeating ourselves and is the whole reason that subclassing exists in the first place with object-oriented programming. So instead of inheriting from models.model, let's inherit from our note model that we made up here, which itself inherits from models.model. So we'll inherit from note, and now we get all these built in for free effectively. So we don't need to re-include them here. We just need to include our user. And I'm going to do a little bit of hand waving with this user here, because what we want is a user in this record that corresponds to an existing Django user. And we haven't talked about users too much yet, but we have an admin user, and we've seen how through the admin interface we can create other users. And those users are stored in a table deep inside the Django DB that was created with one of those initial migrations that we did way back when. So inside that user table, there's some user information. And I want to go ahead and relate this note to a user that's in that table. And since that table down there is SQL under the hood, we can do that by adding a foreign key from this model that refers to the user model. So we can do it just like this, models.foreignKey. We need to specify where we're going to relate this. We're going to do this from here. So from Django.contrib.auth, because we're kind of dealing with authorization here, models, let's bring in the user model. And this is a model that corresponds to the records in the user table. So just like we have a model for notes that corresponds to notes in the note table, there's a model for users that corresponds to users in the user table. So we're going to have a user field in our personal note that corresponds to the user model representing the user table. We're also going to add one more feature here you might recognize from other SQL. We're going to add an onDelete equals models.cascade. So just like with regular SQL, when we set up foreign keys, you can set up an onDelete cascade constraint so that related records in other tables get deleted automatically. And so what we're saying here is, hey, if the user corresponding to this personal note gets deleted, I want this personal note to get deleted as well. So that way the database maintains consistency. So here we have a note that's a subclass of this note, and it's related to the user table as well. So now what we should be able to do is take a look over here at the server and see our personal notes. But we can't see them yet, of course, because we have not yet added them. Okay, so what we have to do is go to our admin and bring in our personal note as well as our note. And then we have to register that as well over here. And then once we have this in place, we can go over to our admin site and see our personal notes here. And we don't have any yet. And in fact, we get this error. Why? It says, no such table, notes personal note. It means it can't find that in the database. What we have not yet done is our migrations. And we see for our notes, we don't even actually have a migration for that new personal note that we've created. What we have to do first is make migrations. Because we've changed the model, this will build a new migration for us. And it says right here, it made a new personal note migration. Now if we show migrations, we see that we have a personal note migration. And this is going to create the table for us. So if we run that migration, now we should have the table. And then if we run the server again, and pop back to our browser, we see that we have 0 personal notes, but we can add a personal note. And just like the regular notes, we have a title and some content. And we have another field here now, a user field. And this refers to the users that exist in the user table. This will be who creates this personal note. And so here we have one, the personal note object created by admin. Now, for an additional challenge, go ahead and take that other model that you've built and add fields to it through subclassing and add it to the admin interface and see it at work. As always, thanks for watching.